Hey everybody!
I'm Elle.
And I'm Em, and today we're going to be talking about the relationship between KAACHI and OLI London.
So we just wanted to let you guys know that we weren't planning on making this video. We wanted our last video about KAACHI to be comprehensive, but while we were making that video, we also wanted to be subjective and avoid talking about the rumors that KAACHI and their company Front Row had already addressed.
But when we decided this, we didn't know the extent of the relationship between OLI London and Front Row. And after we posted our video, we felt like not including this relationship meant that our video was no longer fully comprehensive. So in this video, we are addressing the connections between OLI London and Front Row.
Also, we wanted to add that we are not planning on talking about OLI London's past or controversies. We're limiting the scope of this video to just talking about his relationship with KAACHI and Front Row. And if you haven't seen our previous video where we talked about KAACHI more in depth, we would recommend that you watch that one first. We went into great detail on the formation of KAACHI, including a timeline of all of their major pre-debut events and member changes.
Currently, Front Row, KAACHI's company, says that they have no affiliation with OLI London. And when asked about this, they always say specifically that OLI London is not signed under Front Row, nor is KAACHI signed under his label.
Also, people believe OLI London is with our label, and also KAACHI is signed with OLI London's label. None of them is true and all the fake news.
When people noticed that one of the members of KAACHI was in OLI London's Mirror Mirror music video, a KAACHI member said that it happened a long time ago, and that the member was not a part of Front Row at the time. Then, when OLI London showed up in KAACHI's documentary, they chose not to really address why he was there.
We would like to be transparent and we would like to be honest. I would like to share as much as possible behind the scene and how we think about it.
So we wanted to take a moment and talk about the collaborations we noticed between OLI London and Front Row. And honestly, it seemed like it started normally enough.
So the first time that we noticed OLI London and Monica, the founder and CEO of Front Row and also KAACHI's producer, together was October 20th, 2019 at the UK K-pop competition, where they were both judges. This competition happens to be where Monica first found Nicole and Chunso, who got second place in the competition with their dance group Yujin, and KJ, who would eventually be replaced by Coco and got first place in the competition with her dance group Segno.
There's a good chance that Monica and OLI knew each other before this event, or at least knew of each other, because they're both very active in the London K-pop community. But even if they don't, after sitting next to each other all day, there's a good chance that they were able to get to know each other fairly well.
After the competition, it seems like Monica and OLI started following each other on social media, because OLI was very active in liking and commenting on Monica's posts. And, in case you were wondering, they're still following each other to this day. In late November, Monica attended Dominic Paul's makeup launch party, where she apparently met up with OLI London. And a couple of days after that, OLI had a concert, and at this concert, he had Segno as his backup dancers, and KG was included in this. There's a good chance that OLI asked Segno to be his backup dancers because they had just won a competition that he judged, but according to the members of KAACHI, they joined Front Row in November.
So she found us in October, and then same with Danny, so the training must have started around say November.
So at this point, there's a good chance that KG was affiliated with Front Row when she did this performance.
On December 6th, Phoebe, another employee at Front Row, posted an image of herself, Monica, and OLI together. So at this point, it's clear that Monica and OLI aren't just acquaintances. OLI has now been meeting and working with multiple Front Row employees.
Moving on to the Mirror Mirror music video shoot. Earlier this year, OLI London came out with his song Mirror Mirror, and as most of you probably know, Coco was in it.
You guys were really curious about how I could be in Oli's music video, right? So, one of my friends in London, she just suggest me to join Oli's music video filming, and then actually I had not that much information about him because I heard about Oli is a big fan of K-pop and he loved BTS Jimin. That's all. That's what I knew. I didn't really know about I think I have less information, so that is why I didn't know. At first, I couldn't really understand why people really hate that music video, and or like the fact that I was in that music video. But yeah, I could understand.
So Coco seems to have a few different excuses for why she did the music video. One is that her friend told her to do it. She also says that she did it because she didn't know anything about OLI London before the music video. And she says she did it because it was unique and fun.
Got any suggestion, I always think, why not?
Mm.
And if there is something wrong, I don't then immoral thing, I don't do that. But I don't really mind something weird, unique, strange, fun, because it's fun.
We aren't trying to tell anybody how they should feel about Oli London and his music, but we would like to say that it's very unprofessional and extremely irresponsible for you to not do any research into the work that you are going to take part in if that's the reason that you're going to go with for having done this music video.
And even Nicole gives excuses for Coco.
I remember Coco was in his music video a long time ago, but that was before she had actually joined the company as well. She did it as an individual artist who didn't know much about Oli London. And then she joined the company, but KAACHI is actually under Front Row Records rather than with Oli London or with no label mates either. The only artist on the Front Row Records is KAACHI at the moment.
She says that the music video happened a long time ago and that Coco was not a part of Front Row at the time.
For some background on Mirror Mirror, Oli posted on January 21st that he'd be filming his new music video the next day, and on January 22nd, he said he was ready to film, which means Coco was part of this project less than 2 months before KAACHI filmed their music video, which doesn't really feel like a long time ago, but I guess that's kind of subjective.
For those of you who have not watched our first video, January 22nd also happens to be the day that Front Row released a video of KAACHI training. Obviously, KJ was still a member at this point, but it appears that Coco was assisting in making this video, which means she was probably working for the company in some way at this point. Also, in the few posts that Front Row hasn't deleted from before Coco was a member, you can see that they added her in most of them. At first, we thought that they must have gone back and edited those posts to include Coco, because, for example, Miso is obviously in this post, which would mean that Coco shouldn't be part of the company yet. But on Facebook, you can look and see a post's edit history, and this one does not have any, which means that Coco was added when they first wrote this post back in March, and that means she was most likely part of the company back then, and probably has been since at least before October 20th. This would also explain why her is up with the other company employees, instead of with the other members of the group.
Also, we would like to take a moment to talk about Front Row's magazine KJOU. So, everyone at Front Row also works on KJOU. For example, Monica is the editor-in-chief, Phoebe, who does a lot of photography and administrative work for Front Row and KAACHI, is the lifestyle editor, Star Hannon, who is KAACHI's stylist, is the brand designer, and Coco just so happens to be the operation director, and even has her own Front Row email address. Coco also happens to have an article about herself in the magazine, and in that article she says she works for a K-pop music label as a project manager / A&R. We're assuming that Front Row is the K-pop music label she's referring to. Also, A&R stands for Artists and Repertoire, and they're usually responsible for talent scouting, assisting in the recording process, and helping with marketing and promotion. And side note, Oli London happens to be the celebrity editor for this issue. So when Nicole says that Coco wasn't at Front Row at the time that Mirror Mirror was filmed, it appears that's just
All the fake news.
Also, it's important to point out that Oli London gives special thanks to Monica on both his Instagram and YouTube for this music video. Which has us wondering if the friend Coco mentioned telling her about this music video has just been Monica this whole time. Since Monica has obviously been working with both Oli London and Coco, it seems pretty likely that she could have been the one who recommended that Coco should be in Mirror Mirror.
Also, considering that Oli has been meeting with Front Row for almost 2 months at this point, and considering that Monica was helping him with this music video, and they were collaborating for Front Row's magazine, and that Coco has probably been at Front Row during all of this, I find it very hard to believe that she didn't know anything about Oli London before showing up to the set of his music video. To me, it seems like she probably knew at least the basics about him, especially since she was working on a magazine where one of the article titles is Reality TV star Oli London drops new single after happy marriage to cardboard Jimin. We assume that she just wasn't offended by him, or just wanted exposure from being in his music video. Both of those reasons are fine. We just don't like how she's giving these weird excuses as to why she was there.
There's something about Coco's answers that doesn't feel very genuine. Also, for those of you who didn't notice, Oli used Say No again for the dancers in this music video. However, there were only 2 members of Segno here, and this time KG was not one of them. But it still shows that there was a lot of overlap between Front Row and OLI London at this time, even though Front Row seems to want to distance themselves from him now.
Shortly after filming Mirror Mirror, the event Super K-Pop Weekend rolled around. Super K-Pop Weekend was an event that took place on February 29th that included a dance competition that Monica was again judging, KAACHI's pre-debut stage, and also a performance by OLI London. By this time, KG had been replaced by KAACHI's new member, Miso. But KG's dance cover group Segno was also at the event, which I'm sure was not awkward at all.
We also noticed that this was the first time we could find filming happening for KAACHI's documentary. At this point, it seems pretty obvious that Barcroft only seemed interested in filming the documentary about KAACHI if OLI London was around. And for those of you who do not follow OLI London, he's sort of the darling of Barcroft's series, Hooked on the Look. He has already appeared on 3 episodes of this series.
This is the clip from the documentary filming from someone with the Instagram handle SusuLondon1219. Since we aren't sure what she goes by in the real world, we'll just call her Susu. And she's not only a makeup artist for KAACHI, but she also does OLI London's makeup as well.
안녕하세요. Love my new makeup.
올리예요?
올리예요? 귀엽다, 귀엽다.
And is a self-proclaimed fan and friend of his. And since she is so close to both the members of KAACHI and OLI London, it's very likely that if Monica wasn't the friend who told Coco about the Mirror Mirror music video, then it was probably Susu.
It appears that Barcroft did not include any of the footage from Super K-Pop Weekend in their documentary about KAACHI, and that's probably because KAACHI's member lineup changed again before they filmed their music video. It seems pretty clear that OLI London and Monica had a deal that Monica would help OLI with his music and OLI would help Monica get a Barcroft documentary for KAACHI.
OLI London's label, OLI London Entertainment, even offers PR services that include helping their clients get on TV.
So I do PR, so I have my own PR company, so I do public relations for celebrities, for different K-pop groups, for artists, for companies. I've been doing that for a number of years.
But KAACHI's documentary wasn't the only thing that OLI was filming. He was also filming a show for Channel 5. We don't know what the show is about, but we do know that Susu was with OLI London filming, and at least at one point, Coco was around, and seems like she might have taken part in filming as well. So you guys should keep your eyes peeled for it.
Now for KAACHI's music video. During shooting, they were also being filmed for their documentary, so of course OLI London was there as well. And at this time, Front Row didn't have anything to say as to why OLI London was there.
And even though Front Row did make a statement after the release of the documentary that the credits in the documentary were mislabeled, for some reason it seems like they could not come out and say that OLI London wasn't their publicist, which we think is very interesting. Front Row up until this point has come out and said over and over that KAACHI is not under OLI's label and he is not under Front Row.
All the fake news.
But now that there's this documentary claiming that OLI London is KAACHI's publicist, all of a sudden Front Row will not specifically say that that's untrue. We believe that the reason for this, like we said earlier, is that OLI did act as a publicist for KAACHI specifically to get that 5-minute long Barcroft documentary. And back in March, OLI made a video about purchasing 5,000 copies of KJOU.
This is what I've got for my quarantine. Stunning, hey BTS. Mwah.
And made sure to get that story on a lot of different K-pop news sites. He says he bought them because he's a really big fan of BTS, who's on the cover of the issue, and also because he was in it for his recent marriage. The story that OLI London is presenting could be true. He could have bought 5,000 copies of KJOU because he loves BTS that much. But we think it's pretty likely, since he's been working with Monica so much, and even worked on this magazine, that Monica let him pose in front of all of these copies to make a news story out of it, which would create more publicity for KJOU and also for KAACHI, since they were also featured in this issue of KJOU. Also, I don't know if any of you have had a chance to read the magazine, but they should really consider hiring someone to proofread their articles.
We would also like to mention some weird stuff we noticed with KAACHI's Allkpop news coverage. For those of you who don't know, Allkpop is a K-pop news site that lets its users post articles in addition to the articles posted by their staff. KAACHI has a number of articles written about them on Allkpop, and most of them are written by the user Kpop Superfan 2019. This user has been active in writing articles since August 2019, and has only ever written articles about KAACHI and OLI London. What makes this account different from other users who may have written articles about OLI London or KAACHI is the fact that both OLI London and KAACHI have shared links to multiple articles written by Kpop Superfan 2019. And one of Kpop Superfan 2019's articles is even linked on the press page on the official Front Row Records website. All of the All K-pop articles that KAACHI has posted about that weren't by All K-pop staff were by Kpop Superfan 2019. Oli has occasionally posted articles from users that aren't Kpop Superfan 2019. And one thing that's interesting to notice in his Instagram stories is that since he takes a screenshot of the articles, you can see how long the article has been up before he took that screenshot. And for every article that wasn't posted by Kpop Superfan 2019, you can see Oli screenshotted them a couple hours after they were posted. But every time he posts an article by Kpop Superfan 2019, he always seems to screenshot it about 1 to 3 minutes after the article was posted. And in this instance, he got to it in 37 seconds. It would be one thing if that happened once or twice, but the fact that he gets there so soon for every one of his Kpop Superfan 2019 posts seems a little strange. Almost like he knew when they would be posted, which would mean that he's either writing them or is affiliated with the person writing them.
We'd also like to take a moment to say that this tweet was kind of misleading of you, Monica. You're making it sound like someone from All K-pop actually wrote this article about KAACHI, when it could have been anybody, like someone you paid to write something good about KAACHI who wouldn't have the same motives of making sure all of the facts of the article are correct, like someone who actually works at All K-pop would. And we would like to point out that this article was published the same day that KAACHI released their music video. So some of the things mentioned in this article would have been impossible for someone who was unconnected to KAACHI to know. Like when they said the Channel 4 web documentary would be released in May. Monica had mentioned the series before, but she never mentioned when it would be released. The person writing this article would have had to have been told this by KAACHI or someone else working with KAACHI. And considering how this article was promoted by Front Row and KAACHI, it seems like it was probably made with their full consent. We can't confirm that this account is owned by OLI London, but we wouldn't be surprised if it was affiliated with him and his PR services. And it seems like KAACHI has had articles posted about themselves from this account since their debut. All of this could be the reason why Front Row seems to be unwilling to come out and say that OLI London isn't KAACHI's publicist.
What I want to do, what's my passion is to help, emerging K-pop artists break into Europe, break into America. So I want to help them, get the publicity they need, get the concerts booked for them.
Either way, he does seem to have done at least some work as a publicist for KAACHI.
In the end, the biggest problem that we have isn't the fact that Front Row collaborated with OLI London. It's the fact that they keep trying to pretend that they didn't.
All the fake news.
At some point during all of this, Monica must have realized that OLI London was not a great person for her to collaborate with if she wanted KAACHI to be taken seriously as a K-pop group.
Which we can't argue with, but it would be hard to imagine how she ever thought a collaboration with OLI London would help KAACHI's image more than it would damage it. Because calling OLI London controversial in the K-pop community, especially in the West, which is the market they're focusing on, is an understatement.
Because this realization happened so late, Front Row had to try and clean up this mess as quickly as possible. So when people had valid confusion about KAACHI's relationship with OLI London, Front Row specifically turned their confusion into the question of whether or not KAACHI and OLI were in the same company, which of course is false, and then they've packaged that specific question together with a whole bunch of other crazy rumors about KAACHI, so that your average person would hear it and not really think twice about it.
I'm from Korea and also I respect Korean cultures, obviously. Do you believe I would ever work with someone really inserts my culture? I don't think so. So you have to remember that.
It's unsettling that instead of answering questions and clearing up rumors about KAACHI, Front Row decided to just not tell people about what was really going on. It just makes us think about all of the other rumors that they talked about, and it makes us wonder if there were any others that were based on valid questions or concerns. And as a company, that is the last thing you want people to start thinking, because once trust is broken, it's really hard to win it back. And now with every past rumor and every new rumor that might pop up, it's going to be hard to listen to what Monica and even the members of KAACHI have to say about it and be able to trust that they're actually telling the truth.
As for Coco being in Oli's music video, they tried to say she wasn't representing KAACHI and wasn't a part of Front Row then. And while it is true she did not seem to be part of KAACHI back then, there are still a lot of things that connected her to Front Row.
And when Oli turned up in their documentary, they just never really addressed the fact that he was there and made sure to cut him out of any clips from their behind-the-scenes video.
I have a feeling that if Coco does end up being in OLI London's Channel 5 show, that KAACHI in Front Row will probably not address that either, or maybe say that Coco wasn't a member of KAACHI at the time, which I don't believe that she was, even though that was filmed only 1 week before KAACHI filmed their music video.
Honestly, it would be very refreshing if Front Row and KAACHI came off of the defense a bit and came out and just told us what was going on with OLI London.
We would like to be honest.
I know I would have a lot more respect for that, instead of them just twisting a lot of people's valid confusion into another rumor about KAACHI. Finally, we just wanted to say, don't spread hate to any of the people mentioned in this video. We just wanted to express our opinions on what we found between OLI London and KAACHI, so be kind out there.